My friend, the Eagles have a problem that nobody is talking about openly. And it is not the wide receiver who is about to be traded, and it is not the offensive coordinator who just arrived. It is the highest paid running back in NFL history who in 2025 delivered the worst season of his career as an Eagle. And according to analysts inside the Jefferson Health Training Complex, 2026 may literally be his last chance to prove he is still the same player who shattered every record in the league. I am going to break down everything about this situation that is weighing on the Eagles' offense, the numbers, the contract, the age, and what needs to happen for this player to secure his future in Philadelphia. But first, if you are a die-hard Eagles fan, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now, because this is a story that will define the direction of this team in 2026. His name is Saquon Barkley, and in 2024, he was simply the greatest running back in NFL history. 2,504 rushing yards in a single regular season, the highest total ever recorded in the history of the league. Super Bowl LIX champion, NFL Offensive Player of the Year. The adjectives run out when you try to describe what Barkley did that season. He did not just lead the league in rushing yards, he demolished a record that many believed would never fall, surpassing Eric Dickerson's historic mark that had stood since 1984. 40 years of history rewritten in a single season. And right after that historic campaign, in March of 2025, the Eagles proactively closed a 2-year, $41.2 million extension with Barkley, with $36 million fully guaranteed, making him the highest-paid running back in NFL history. At the time, it felt more like a thank you than a projection, a recognition of everything he had accomplished. But here is the thing. In 2025, Saquon Barkley's stat line told the story of a different player. 280 carries, 1,140 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Numbers that any average running back would sign for without hesitation, but a dramatic drop for someone at Barkley's level. In 2024, he averaged 5.8 yards per carry and 125 rushing yards per game. In 2025, those numbers fell to 4.1 and 71. We are talking about a nearly 40% drop in average production per game in a single season. For a running back, the organization had just rewarded with the largest contract in the history of the position. That raises legitimate, and unavoidable, questions about the future of one of the highest paid players on the roster. Now, to be fair, the blame does not fall entirely on Barkley. The offensive line struggled at various points throughout the season, and the Eagles' offense as a whole looked stagnant over multiple stretches. The firing of offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo after just one season is the clearest signal that the problems were spread across the entire offensive unit, not concentrated in any single player. Context matters. But when you pay a running back like a superstar, and he delivers numbers that belong to a league average player, the scrutiny is inevitable. And the level of examination that comes with the title of highest paid running back in NFL history is exactly proportional to the contract he signed. The physical factor is also impossible to ignore. Barkley is 29 years old and approaching 30, precisely the age range where regression becomes the rule for NFL running backs, not the exception. The league's historical record is categorical on this point. No running back, no matter how talented, escapes the accumulated weight of hundreds of carries over the years unscathed. In 2024, he absorbed 482 total touches between the regular season and the playoffs, an extraordinary number for any running back, regardless of where he ranks historically. In 2025, that number dropped to 346, but the accumulated wear is real and cumulative. The tires have a lot of miles on them, my friend, and every athlete's body begins to feel that bill come due as they approach their 30s. Can you think of a single running back who maintained elite production past 30 with that kind of mileage on his legs? The real question becomes, what does the structure of Barkley's contract tell us about his future in Philadelphia? On paper, he is under contract through 2028, but the bulk of his financial guarantees expire at the end of this season. That means 2026 is effectively the last year the Eagles have a strong financial reason to keep him on the roster. If he cannot return to his 2024 level, or at least something close to it, changes could arrive in the next offseason in a way nobody wants to imagine today. Howie Roseman has no track record of sentimental attachment to players when the numbers and the costs stop making sense. And the mathematics of the NFL salary cap are merciless toward any franchise that carries heavy contracts for declining players. And this is exactly where new offensive coordinator Sean Mannion enters the story. The stated goal of keeping Jalen Hurts under center more frequently, rather than operating out of the shotgun as often as the previous system demanded, has just as much to do with the running game as it does with the passing game. When the quarterback is under center, play-action options open up far more naturally. The running game becomes more efficient because linebackers and safeties have to respect the fake, and the running back receives blocks at better angles with more room to operate. One of Mannion's central bets to revitalize the Eagles' offense runs directly through giving Barkley a more favorable environment than he had in 2025. And if Mannion can create the right conditions, the question stops being whether Barkley has the talent and becomes whether the system will finally let that talent show up. The belief inside the Jefferson Health Training Complex, according to SI reporter John McMullen, is that Barkley's talent is still there. The explosion, the vision, the ability to create plays out of nothing. What is being questioned is not whether the level exists. It is whether it will show up consistently under all the pressure bearing down on the 2026 season. And Barkley has never been someone who shied away from pressure. This is the same man who arrived in Philadelphia from the New York Giants, where he spent years as the only bright spot on a mediocre team, and who in a single season with a competitive roster around him rewrote the NFL record books. The question now is whether that player still exists inside a body carrying 2 years of extraordinarily heavy use. Taking a step back, what does a genuine bounce-back season look like in terms of numbers? Analysts point to something in the range of 1,500 or more rushing yards, 5 yards per carry, and double-digit touchdowns as the minimum threshold for Barkley to be considered back at an elite level. It does not need to be 2,500 yards again. That kind of season happens once in the history of the league. But it needs to be a performance that justifies the contract, that strengthens the offense, and that puts the Eagles back in the NFC title conversation. Those are the numbers that lift the cloud of doubt over his future in this city. On the other hand, another season hovering around 1,100 yards and 4 yards per carry will generate enormous pressure across the entire organization. The departure of A.J. Brown already weakens the offense in the passing game in a significant way. If the running game does not return to being an elite weapon, the Eagles become even more dependent on Jalen Hurts to solve problems with his arm. And recent history shows that equation did not work when the running game was not operating at the level it should have been. An Eagles offense in 2026 that loses A.J. Brown in the passing game and fails to get Saquon Barkley back in the ground game is an offense that is going to struggle. An offensive struggle in Philadelphia, at this moment, with everything at stake for Jalen Hurts and for the franchise as a whole, is something nobody can afford to tolerate. With a new offensive coordinator arriving to fix what the previous system could not, with A.J. Brown leaving the equation, with Jalen Hurts under growing pressure, and with Barkley's contract entering its most critical financial window, what do you think is going to happen with Saquon Barkley in 2026? Does he return to the level that made him the greatest running back in league history? Or has the wear of the last 2 years become too great to overcome? Drop your opinion in the comments. I want to hear what the real fans are thinking. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back soon with the latest Eagles news.